You're listening to DUSARadio's online election coverage at DUSAmedia.com.
You're listening to DUSARadio. These are the election interviews. Currently, we have Douglas here, who is our VPSA candidate. Andi Michie is also a candidate. He cannot be here today, but you can, of course, look on dusa.co.uk and find his poster and candidate statement. I have just got to define what the role of VPSA is, and then I'll let the interview be carried away. The VPSA, that's the Vice President Student Activities, is a sabbatical role. This post holder will ensure that student interests are best represented in the provision of services and facilities by the association and university, and that clubs and societies operate and develop effectively. The responsibilities are overseeing the running and funding of Dundee University Students' Association affiliated clubs and societies, chairing both the Society's Council and the Society's Funding Council, encouraging and supporting new societies, being the main point of contact for societies liaising with DUSA, promoting student participation in extracurricular and voluntary activities out with societies and sports clubs, the association's sponsorship and support of sports clubs and student events, liaising with the president of the sports union in relation to sports facilities offered to the student body, representing the student body in relation to university and student association services and facilities, liaising with different student groups in conjunction with the Deputy President and Vice President engagement to assess facilities, services and student issues, organising Freshers' Fair, organising a structured raising and giving week to promote citizenship and charitable nature amongst the student community, liaising with the university about Welcome Week, the development of and adherence to democratic and fiscal guidelines, and finally, providing sabbatical support to the Nightline service. A lot to talk about.
Do you need a minute to get your breath back? So, Douglas, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Yeah?
And yourself?
A little bit hot, other than that. So, Vice President of Student Activities, so you're going to be involved a lot with societies. Are you a member of any societies?
I am indeed. I'm a current member and president of the Geography and Environmental Science Society. I am also a member of the Philosophical Society, and I do attend some other societal events. I may not be a member, but I will go and support their events, buy tickets to their events, and if I can't attend events that I've said I'll donate. Right,
okay. Well, I've actually improvised a bit, but can we please ask you to read out your candidate statement, just to tell the listeners, however many they may be, just what you're about?
Yeah, no problem. I'd just like to start by saying hello to all the students who will be taking part in this year's vote for the DUSA executive elections. I'm Douglas Schreiber, and I'm currently in my fourth and final year of a joint honours degree programme in Geography and Environmental Science. I would like you to vote for me as your new Vice President for Student Activities, VPSA, in the up-and-coming elections. I currently hold a number of positions within DUSA, all of which are related to this position. I was elected Society Representative on the SRC, the Student Representative Council, by your society leaders to help get their voices heard on the SRC. I am also on the Society Funding Panel and have so far helped give out £16,000 to hardworking and deserving societies that need a little help in the right direction. I have attended every single Society's Council meeting and all bar one of the Funding Council meetings. I am also a member of the Disciplinary Panel Committee. It is clear to say that I am very familiar with the inner runnings of the SRC, particularly when it comes to the position of VPSA, and I want to see your societies run and well represented in DUSA. I also happen to be the president of the Geography and Environmental Science Society and was in charge of organising our ball for 135 people, which occurs this Friday. I've also helped organise other very successful events, including DUSA's busiest ever student organised night in Air Bar for our pub quiz, where we had over 160 people attending. After holding this position for the past year, I fully appreciate the need for good representation at both the SRC and the Union for society events and other general organisation meetings. If you were to elect me as your new VPSA, my first policy would be to fight for better benefits for DUSA associated societies. This would not only be to show the rewards of being an important and valued society on campus, but also an attempt to get societies to fulfil their full potential. I would also be attempting to capitalise on the main careers fair held in the Bonar Hall each year. I believe that a stronger, bigger and better careers fair will benefit almost every single student. Finally, I want to continue working on the university's RAG Week, Raising and Giving Week, as I believe it is an entirely worthwhile cause. I helped out this year and helped raise just over £5,000 for charity, and I also think this is a good way for willing students to volunteer and better their CVs. I have the relevant experience to help your society and other activities get to where they need to be, so when the time comes to cast your votes on the 6th, 7th and 8th of March, vote for me, Douglas Schreiber, as your new Vice President of Student Activities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You're so society man.
Yes, yes,
pretty
born
much.
bred.
I know. I was just trying to count them all. I think I've lost count already. But a couple of questions now. How would you like to build on what your predecessors have done so far in your position that you're currently running for?
I currently work quite closely with both Rachel, who was the VPSA 2 years ago, and Anna, who's the current VPSA. And two of the main things that I would like to see are the continued building of the RAG Week and the International Festival. We currently have a fair representation of students that do attend these events from various societies and things, but these are the two big events that were only started, RAG Week particularly was only started 2 years ago, and the International Society, or the International Festival, was only started this year here, where we had well over 100 people attending the Chinese lantern lighting outside in the campus green a couple of days ago, and that was a spectacular event. But I believe that the organisation of these events is already good. I want to start getting down on the ground and really getting into students and telling them, look, you need to come to these events and support your association.
Okay, well that's great. We've got one more sort of general question before I'll start picking your candidate statement to shreds, if you don't mind. When DUSARadio interviewed the current exec, the outgoing exec, this time last year, they all had these great promises and these great intentions that they were hoping to implement in their time in office, but they've not been able to because their time's run out. So if you could pick one of your policies that you would put an absolute priority on, you would say, that if all else fails, it's the thing I'm going to leave as my legacy and as VPSA, what would it be?
If I had to dump my two other policies, I would absolutely pick better benefits for DUSA-affiliated societies. I believe that there are just now, there are 104 societies currently affiliated with DUSA. That's not including any of the sports union societies, clubs, things like that. These are just DUSA-affiliated societies, and they make up a huge part of the student body. They show their dedication by coming to meetings, and I don't think that the awareness of what DUSA can actually do for them as a society is fully publicised. I think that because I have directly benefited from going to DUSA, going to Anna, going to the events management team, the bar staff for help in publicising my events, I've been able to get some very, very successful events over the last year, and I think this needs to be made aware to other students, other student societies, and that would absolutely be my integral policy.
Okay. Now, I've got just one thing to say on your candidate statement that's been picked out a wee bit. You say that if you realise you're going to lobby for better DUSA benefits.
Yes.
Interesting word choice, lobby, because obviously lobbyists are quite controversial figures. Would you lobby for it, or would you ensure that the lobbying was successful and you actually got those benefits?
I can ensure that I will lobby. I cannot ensure that the lobby will be successful. There is no student just now running, or no person running for a sabbatical position that can ensure any one of their policies, unless it's something that they individually can do themselves, running around campus promoting the SRC, for instance, or something by themselves. That's fair enough. I can guarantee I will lobby for better benefits for DUSA-affiliated societies. I cannot guarantee how successful they will be, but what I can also guarantee is that I will make very publicly aware what exactly it is that DUSA can do for societies. I will individually go around every society if I have to and tell them, look, this is what I can offer you. I can offer you these free access to events. I can get you hosting events for free, where you will receive any profits from the ticket sales to your event, things like that, so that societies are more likely to come to DUSA than try to find events elsewhere.
Okay.
Something I think DUSA needs right now.
Yeah, okay. Last general question I've got is the dreaded university cuts question.
Okay, yes.
This has been sent in by a chap called Peter Fullove, who he said that one fact that he finds really worrying is that uni cuts are conspicuous only by their absence from any of the candidate statement manifestos. Can you assure everyone that's going to be concerned with this election that uni cuts will be fought if you're elected, and particularly with the rise of tuition fees for students from other parts of the UK, to pay more for a poorer quality is deeply troubling. So, in short, can you ensure that any uni cuts you will be dead against?
I would like to start off by saying that it's a good question, and it's a question that has been coming around quite a lot. He's not the only person to have sort of asked this question to any of the exec. This has been sort of bouncing around the walls for some time, and it's a difficult one. The university ultimately is responsible for pretty much any and all cuts with regards to the university. DUSA's sort of separate, though we have to obviously make regular contact. We are a separate organisation. However, as we have done in the past, as there have been interviews with various newspapers, particularly with Ian Kennedy just now, he's had various interviews to do with cuts and staff sackings and things like that. We will fight any and all cuts. As again I've said with the previous about getting better benefits, it's entirely debatable as to whether or not we will be successful, but we will fight any and all cuts made. I also would like to promote student awareness about cuts that are going in, rather than, for instance, the university implementing cuts that seem to be sort of going under the radar. If cuts are coming out, we need to make students aware of them so that we can organise a protest, we can organise a fight, we can try and get our money back, basically. I agree entirely with the poser of the question.
Okay. I have no further questions, I think. He's with it.
One of the roles of the VPSA is organising the Freshers' Fair. Something that has been brought up before is that without going to the Freshers' Fair, it's very hard to get involved in societies. Is there any way that you would plan to improve people who can't go to those fairs to be able to get involved with these 104 societies?
Yeah, there are various methods. I mean, one of the things that we've talked about so far, myself and Anna, is trying to get just in general, not just with those who missed the Freshers' Fair, but in general, more students involved in societies. I'll be honest, I only joined the Geography Society in my second year. I didn't join in my first year. I signed my name down to an emailing list, but that was the last I heard, and the society itself has come on leaps and bounds since then. But, I mean, it's difficult to get some students involved until it's too late, because there are obviously problems with numbers of trying basically to get as many students as we can to turn up to these events. If we can't ensure that all the students are coming to the Freshers' Fair, then they are going to miss out. There's nothing we can necessarily do about that. However, when it comes to actively trying to sell a society to an individual again, there are various things we can do. Maybe perhaps a mini Freshers' Fair for a day, where, say, some of the more poignant societies, even the smaller ones, if they've got time, we understand time's a very, very big constraint, but some of the larger societies again can try and get more members, or anything along these lines. It's difficult to try and publicise when you've got a large student body that will look at an email that you send round and stick it straight into the delete bin. It happens a lot. It's not just a case of us trying to do our work, it's a case of the students trying to promote themselves as well, and promote their societies.
One of your main policies is a bigger and more interactive careers boost to student employment and to better our reputation. Do you think that societies have a role to play in employability of students?
Yes and no. Some of the specific subjects of societies may not directly influence employment. However, the active role that any given student could take in a society is absolutely key to employment nowadays. Employers are always looking for experience everywhere, left, right and centre. And nowadays, unless you volunteer your services to a society, or to, for instance, the Rag Week or something like that, you don't get your experience. You have to start building on these qualities that you may have in order to start getting jobs and on the job market nowadays, unless you're exceptionally lucky. So I think societies do have an entirely huge part to play in the careers fair. I also believe that with the right method of promotion, the societies themselves could help get a lot more students to these events. If we can tailor specific guests to this careers fair, of which I'm already talking to some of the careers workers about, if we can tailor some specific guests to, for instance, specific the degree subjects, life sciences, medicine, things like that, who I know currently do organise their own careers fairs as well, we are likely to get a far larger turnout, which I think will be better success rates for the students and the university to say, look, we've had a 200% or 100% or whatever increase on last year's event. That would be sort of the ultimate aim, is just to try and double numbers at these things.
A lot of the publicity around campus seems to be focused on nights out.
Yeah,
things like Synthetic.
Yeah.
Loads and loads of flyers, loads of posters.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that, not necessarily that billboard space, but there would be space to advertise for other things like careers fair, which you say are of the utmost importance?
Absolutely. I mean, it is very apparent, and I totally agree. You do go around campus and you do just see come and get drunk, come and get advertisements all over the place, and I don't think that some of the, whether it's society events that aren't wanting specifically to get drunk or this, I don't think they're necessarily fairly represented. I'd like to sort of make more of an equality. If I was to get this position, I would like to make more of an equality between those societies that are wanting just to hold a fundraiser at the union to get everybody to come and get drunk, and those societies that maybe say just want a quiet night out doing what they do specifically, whether it's gaming or anything really. But yeah, I do agree entirely. I think we should get a notice board specifically. I know there's already been talk about this, as well as a newsletter going around monthly, just an A4 sheet saying exactly what's going on and exactly what we've got planned, so that the students don't feel left out when it comes to major decisions being made, as that has been an issue recently.
Another role of the VPSA is the development of and adherence to democratic and fiscal guidelines. At the moment, there are problems with money, not just in the university, but in general. One thing that was pointed out at the AGM was that there's a lot of people coming to the union, but they're not spending that much money. Do you think that you could, through publicity or otherwise, boost the amount of people who are spending money in the union, not necessarily on alcohol?
Ironically enough, I had a meeting this morning with Grant Murdoch, the newly elected sports union president, about the possibilities, if I did happen to get elected for this role, of getting far larger both fundraising events and just specific events held at the union, because just now there are a lot of societies that go around to pubs and have their pub quizzes there, rather than trying to use the union, which is free. You don't have to hand in a deposit, you don't have to worry about anything specifically, and you get the best, cheapest drinks deals, things like that, which will eventually raise money for DUSA. If we can get more societies to stop having their events specifically out with the university and have them in DUSA instead, that's good. I mean, to name one club specifically, you'll know of Liquid and how they have a very, very large and pretty successful sports night on the Wednesdays. If we could start, maybe not trying to necessarily compete with their Wednesday night, but if we could get more sports societies maybe choosing their big night out to be at the union, by offering them specific deals tailor-made to them, that's different. I'd like to integrate not just the normal societies but the sports societies as well, because I still think there's a little bit of a gap between DUSA and the sports union in terms of societies. I'd like to see more of them coming, and it's a huge student denomination, the sports societies. If we could get even half of them coming to the union, that would boost profits big time, as well as just publicising what DUSA can do for a normal society, like my own pub quiz, or for instance we're coming back here after the ball. I wouldn't have been aware of that, and we would have probably gone somewhere else had I not been working with DUSA this year, just because I wasn't aware of it.
One of the problems that societies must have with going to Liquid instead or whatever is that a lot of the fundraisers for societies on Thursday nights in the union don't tend to be the busiest of nights.
Yes.
Is there any way that could be boosted?
I would like to look into getting a budgeting system. One of the things that we do in the Funding Council just now is it's all for instance, if you do your own fundraising and you've worked hard and you've done this, but you're still a little bit short, if you just cannot quite make the mark, or there's something specifically that's going to benefit a lot of students, we can give you a bit of money we can help you out here. We have a specific budget that's left out for that sort of occasion, I would like to see either a possible small addition, or possibly just some of that money. We just have to be sort of a bit tighter spread in other areas. We would like to see a small budget going towards the publication and publicising of certain events held on Thursdays or held on another student-orientated night. Because just now, particularly for small societies that maybe don't have that much of a large turnover, where they maybe haven't been able to hold a pub quiz in the past and have a little bit of revenue on them, it's very difficult to start with nothing. It's super difficult to start with nothing. And we've been exceptionally lucky this year as a society to be able to get to where we are, but a lot of societies just don't get that luck. So yeah, we'd look to maybe increase a budget for them to publicise their own events, printing, posters, PR, things like that.
The main two types of events that you've talked about are pub quizzes and, of course, nights out. Mm-hmm. For some societies, really small societies have about a dozen members, say.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that those small societies don't need money. Is there any way for them to fundraise?
Yes, we've had a couple of events where they've held joint nights, and we had... I can't specifically remember the societies involved, but it was a cultural movie night here in the Union a few weeks ago. I think this was just after Christmas. This was during the Rag Week itself, and there were a number of societies that spoke different languages, had different backgrounds, things like that, and they came on and they put on various different movies that were internationally acclaimed where they're from, to encourage their societies. Now, these are small societies, but they grouped together, and although this event was for charity, there's nothing to stop them doing a similar event for themselves and just divvying up the money at the end of it, or perhaps forming one large society as opposed to lots of different small ones. It may not be what they want, however, and I'm fully aware of this. You might just want to keep your own individual society, but there's nothing to stop you from doing joint fundraisers. It is very difficult to have a society with 12 members in it trying to get capital enough for them to go out and do what they need to do.
Okay. We've gone through all of these lovely questions which are on the sheet. We've gone through a lot of the statement that you've put through, and for the last piece of paper, that very long list of roles that the VPSA has. Of course, there's going to be things that we haven't brushed upon that you may want to speak about. Do you have a closing statement you'd like to give?
Not in general. I mean, I'd encourage you just to look at the experience that I have. If you were considering voting for me, look at the experience that I have. I've done pretty much every job beneath this position that's directly related. There's not something that I haven't dabbled in or put my entire effort into. I mean, I've been to all the societies meetings, as I said before. I've helped out at pretty much all the funding council meetings, and I have other experience on the SRC with regards to fundraising for my own society, but also for charity weeks and things. I do have the relevant experience for this job. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. You've been listening to DUSARadio. I'm Ollie.
I'm Ali.
And our interviewee was...
Douglas.
Andy is another candidate for the VPSA role. Sadly, he could not be here today, but of course you can go on dusar.co.uk and find his poster and candidate statement. Do tune in again. There is going to be more podcasts saying about all of the different candidates and all of the different roles. Thank you, and goodbye.